Hello everyone. In this lecture 27, we will basically understand what is absence type and info type 2001. So info type 2001 is nothing but to store the absence types. What could be the absence types? Absences such as sick leave, vacation or any other time off. So we will basically define the absence type and also understand what is counting rules. So define absence types. So absence types can be configured based on the personal sub-area groupings. See how important is the enterprise structure. Enterprise structure, whenever you define, you need to keep all these things in point of view, because when you go to time management, these personal sub-areas are really important, because you have to group those personal sub-areas who work according to the same working time, who have the same absence types. So that is very important that when you design your enterprise structure, you need to keep view of the time management also. So now here, basically I'm going to create an absence types here. So absence types could be sick leave or educational leave, any sort of absences. And these are basically based on the personal sub-area groupings. Now, when you create an absence type, for example, you are creating educational leave or sick leave or vacation, SAP has provided you some system reaction. What does that mean? It means, for example, I am applying a vacation. I don't know whether that day is particular like Sunday or Saturday. I just apply blindly. SAP can react based on that day if we configure in the system saying that if somebody applies leave on day off, like if somebody is applying on Sunday, that person, when he applies the leave, he should get a message, error message, and the system should not allow the person to basically create or apply leave on the day which is day off. So in that way the employee will come to know, oh, so that day was day off, so I was applying on a day off which is actually a day off, why should I apply leave on a day off? So when you create absence type, you can have the system reaction when an absence type record is created on a day off. The system reaction could be an error, or it could be a warning, or it could be an information message. These reactions totally depend on the company's policies. As I mentioned, absence types are the subtypes for the info type 2001. What are subtypes? Sick leave, or educational leave, or vacation. These are the subtypes for the info type 2001. Now, after you define the absence type, the most important thing is that the counting rules. What is counting rules? Counting rules are used to determine the payroll days and hours for an attendance or absence. The payroll days and hours that have been counted are used to control the deduction of quotas. They can be used in payroll to evaluate the absence. So what it means, in the configuration, we can tell the system how the absence type should be calculated. For example, you can tell the system if the employee applies a leave for 1 day, then treat that particular 1 day as half day, count it as half day. So it basically depends on the configuration. So SAP has given that flexibility how to count the particular absence type. So that is nothing but counting rules. Let's go. This is the navigation. You go to time management, go to time data recording and administration, go to absences, and then in the absences you have to open absence catalog. So time management, time data recording and administration, absences, absence catalog. Here you will see the first IMG node, which is group personal sub areas for attendances and absences. So you click on this. So now here you are grouping your personal sub areas who have the same absence types. For example, these personal sub areas, Zenith Chicago and Zenith Houston, could have same set of absence types, meaning that both of these sub areas could have the sick leave and educational leave. So I am grouping them both to 09. So this is the first step to group your personal sub areas for attendance and absence type. So I have given the number 09. Now you go and define the absence types. Now in SAP there are some standard absence types already created, but if you want to create a new one, you can go and create. I have created for my grouping 09. So if you see, this is nothing but personal sub-area grouping for absence type. This is not personal sub-area grouping for the work schedule, because a grouping could be for anything. A personal sub-area grouping can be for work schedule, a personal sub-area grouping can be for absences. So the difference is that personal sub-area grouping for the work schedule means those personal sub-areas who have the same work schedule, and personal sub-area grouping for absences means those personal sub-areas who have the same set of absences. Now here I have created absences called Zenith leave. If you see this one, let's go to the details. So I am creating an absence type called ZALV, which is Zenith leave, and this is for the grouping 09. Now here is the system reaction. As I mentioned you in the slide, that you can put some messages here. There are 3 kinds of messages: the error message, warning and information, and sometimes you don't want to even keep the message, which is nothing but no message. What is the purpose of this message? It means when you apply leave, this particular leave on a day which is the first day is off, like you are applying Saturday to Sunday by mistake, and the first day is Saturday, so the system will give an error. Now if you are applying a leave from Friday to Sunday and you didn't know that Sunday is coming up, you just apply blindly, create a leave. Friday is working day, agreed, there is no message. But Sunday is a day off, so last day is a day off. So now again the system will show an error. Now if it is not Saturday, Sunday, but it could be a holiday, it could be a New Year, and you didn't know that it was New Year or something, you applied a leave. So that day is a non-working period. Even by mistake if you apply leave on a non-working period, you can give a system reaction. In this case, I have given all these particular input checks as error, error, error. Even the first day's day off, it should show an error. If the last day's day off, it should be error, and also for the non-working period. So this is how you create the absence type. Now, after you create the absence type, the second part is the counting, because you have to tell the system how that particular absence type should be counted. Because payroll should know, right? If you're applying leave for 1 day, and company's policies is that if the employee applies a leave for 1 day, he should be counted as half day. But how will the payroll know? Payroll will know based on the absence counting. Now here, we'll go the rules for absence counting new. This IMG node. I'm expanding this. Now here, if you see here, the first thing is like group employee subgroups for time quota. There are so many groupings coming here, but you have to, basically put up in a paper, because whenever you talk about grouping, it is for each aspect of the grouping is different. Like personal sub-area grouping for work schedule is different, employee subgroup grouping for work schedule is different, personal sub-area grouping for absence type is different, employee subgroup grouping for time quotas is different. So you have to basically give a separate number for your groups. So what does this mean? Group employee subgroups for time quotas, meaning those employee subgroups who have the same absence quotas. Now what is absence quotas? I'll tell you. Every company has a policy that employees entitled to 2 weeks of vacation. This 2 weeks of vacation becomes a quota. Like I am applicable for 10 days of vacation in a year. So that is nothing but quota. Now if I take 1 day of vacation, the remaining will be 9. So that's the reason why we have to first group those employee subgroups who have the same absence quotas. I'm clicking on this one. It says which country? I said 10 USA, and then let me search my employee subgroup here. So now I am assigning a number 1. Number could be anything, but you have to make a note of this number, because these numbers are really important. Just meaning of that number, I mean just putting the number, it doesn't like, you don't have to worry, you can just put 9, 8, 7. But this number is very important in other particular sections. Now, group personal sub-areas for the time quota. This is grouping personal sub-areas for absences. Now we are grouping the personal sub-areas for the time quota, meaning which personal sub-areas have the same absence quota. Now I am clicking on this one, and basically I have given some number here, probably I have given 09. If you see, for this both personal sub-areas, I have given a number 09. This 09 is a grouping number for personal sub-areas which has the same absence quota type. Now, here there is a defined rules for rounding the counted absence, meaning that like if you apply for something like if you apply for 6 hours or 5 hours of vacation of 3 hours, how do you want to count that particular absences? Basically this rounding comes if there is a decimal point like 1.5, 1.75. How do you round? Do you want to round up or down? So I have created a rounding rule called like zenith rule, if you see here, meaning that if the lower limit is 0.5, upper limit is 1.5, then round it to 1. If it is 2 to 2.5, then it should be 2. So basically I am rounding into the 1 value. So if it is the range like 0.5 to 1.5, the target value is 1. This rounding rules only comes basically when there is some decimal places. Now I am counting the rows. Okay, so basically I have to define the counting rules because I have to count the absences. What do you count the absences? Means whatever the hours the employee is applying, so the system will count that particular absences. So let me see what I have defined here. Employee subgroup 1, personal subgroup 09. So I have given probably this one. Yes, yeah. So I have defined a counting rule. So counting rule has certain entries to be filled up. The first one is employee subgroup for time quota types, which we already defined the grouping 1. It means those employee subgroups for which the same absence quota is applicable. Second one is personal sub-area grouping for time quota types. Third one is you have to give some number for the counting rule. What number I have given? 001. And I have given a sequential number. What is sequential number? One counting rule can have many sequential number. Why? The conditions could be different, right? Because this sequential number 1 is having so many conditions. The same counting rule can have the sequential number 2, but with different setup here. So counting rule can be same, but sequential number could be many. Now let us see what I have created in this sequential number 1. I am telling this rule is applicable for all the days, like weekdays as well as weekends. And also I have just check marked all the holiday classes, all the day types, the counting classes, the daily work schedules. I am just checking every box because I am telling okay, this is applicable for all. And also I am telling if the number of hours is equal to 0, meaning that if the day is off, this rule should be applicable. And if the planned hours is greater than 0, which means normal day, so this rule is applicable. Also I am giving a condition like if it is less than 1 day, the employee is applying a leave for less than 1 day. That's why I told you, employee can apply leave for 5 hours. So this rule is applicable. Even if the employee is applying for full day, this rule is applicable. Now, what is quota multiplier? Quota multiplier is that if the employee is taking 1 day leave and if the company policy is that okay, only half day should be deducted from his quota from the vacation, then you have to enter 50%. So this person will basically deduct the particular amount from the quota. So I will tell you like if I have 10 days of vacation. Now if I am applying leave for vacation for 1 day, and if I give 50% here, then from the quota only half day will be deducted and the quota balance will be 9.5. So this quota multiplier is very important. So now an employee can apply leave either in hours or in days, because in some companies, the vacation quota are in days. Like in my company, the quota is basically on number of hours. In some companies, it is based on number of days. So I am putting the same conditions for both the sections. So this is basically counting rule. Done. So what is counting rule? Counting rule is used how to count the absence depending on the condition, because you have so much of conditions here. Like the system goes and check each condition. So if you are applying vacation on Sunday, the system sees, okay, this guy is applying vacation on Sunday. What is the condition? Oh, equal to 0. Okay, this rule is applicable. So that makes sense for the counting rule. Now, after you create a counting rule, you have to assign the counting rule to the absences, because you first created the absence type, right, and then you created the counting rule. But how will the system know that counting rule which you have created is applicable to this absence type, whatever you have created? Like I have created Zenith leave. Zenith leave is the absence type I have created, and I have created a counting rule for the same absence type. But the system still doesn't know that whatever the counting rule I have defined is for that particular absence type. So this place, assign counting rules to absence type, this IMG will basically link both of them. So I am clicking on this and going to subgrouping 09. So I'm basically looking for my absence type, which is Zenith leave. I'm going to the details here. If you see, this is my grouping, this is the absence type. Now I have assigned my counting rule. So this counting rule I have assigned here. What was the counting rule? 001. For which employee subgroup? Employee subgroup grouping 1 and person subgroup grouping 09. So I believe it is somewhere here. So this was the counting rule. Now I am saying, so what I have done, I have assigned the counting rule to this absence type. Now this counting rule itself has all the conditions, like whatever I have tick marked on the check boxes and whatever the conditions I have given, this counting rule holds all that information. Now I have created absence type. Now let me go to PA30. I am going to PA30. This is the screen. Now this will be the initial screen. Now you know the info type number I told you, 2001. When you press enter, it will show you the name of the info type, which is nothing but absences. Now when you create an absences, what it will do, basically it is asking you which particular type of absence you are applying. I told you, right, this will become the subtypes, because absence types could be sick leave, vacation, educational leave, it could be any. So now what are you doing? Basically you are picking whatever the absence type you have defined. Like Zenith leave, I want to apply this leave. Now this screen came up. Now I am applying on 20th April on 20th April. My absence type is ZALV. Calendar days is 1. Absence date 0. Why? If you enter, it is giving me a hard error. What it is telling? This day is during non-working period. Meaning that when we created the absence type, we have given the system reaction E, error, to throw error if a person is applying leave on a day off. And 20th April is basically Sunday, which is a day off. So it is giving me an error. Let me put that to Monday. So I am putting to Monday. So it says only records of less than 1 day allowed for absence type. What does it mean? Only records of less than 1 day is allowed. So if you go to the configuration here, go to absence type here, go to your grouping here, and Zenith leave here. See, the minimum duration I am telling, I should tell 1 day, and maximum duration is 999. So this setting you should enter, because if you don't enter, it means 0 day, like no duration. So if you press F1, it will tell you the details, like what is 001, if they are shorter than 1 day or greater than 1 day. So I am putting 001 and maximum duration is 999. I am saving it up. Now I am going back to my screen here. I am pressing enter. Just a second. Let me go back to the screen here. See, now it allowed me. So it says, why is it telling 7.50? If you recall the daily work schedule, my daily working time for this employee is 7.5. So it detected 7.5 hours. So calendar days is 1. Absence days is 1. Payroll days is 1. Payroll hours is 7. So how it neatly clarified hours is 7.50 and days is 1. This is how you basically create the absence type. Okay. So I hope you understood. And also you can play around with this other configuration. What I told you, if you go to the counting rule here and no, not this one. So let me go back. If I go to the counting rules here and go to the my counting rule, which is basically this one. So you can play around normally, if it is I'll put 50 days here, 50%, sorry, 50% here and 50% here. So I'm doing 50%. I'm saving this counting rule here. So this counting rule is already assigned to the absence type, so you don't have to worry about that. Now I'm going here, pressing enter. The moment I press enter, see, it is calculating to 4 hours. Why? Because I am given 50%. See, payroll days is 50. Even though the absence days and calendar days are 1, but this absence counting, who is basically looking? Payroll is looking, because payroll is the main key which is paying the amount to the employee, right? So even if the person applied for 1 day full day leave, but payroll is just taking only half day. means it is still paying for the remaining half day. And this is basically depending, this is basically important in some companies where the policy says in the employee apply for full day, the payroll should only deduct half day. Even though if you see the screen, the days are 1, but payroll section says the hours are 4 and the payroll days are only 5. Why? Because in the counting rule, we have given the multiplier as 50%. So this ends how to create absence type, how to create counting rule, how to assign the counting rule to absence type, and how to create the absence type. And you have also seen the system reactions which I was talking about. Hope you enjoyed this class. Thank you.